Alright, so just like with the other book projects that we have, you can go to Moodle. I have all the files that you need you can download it from this zip file. When you do download it, it'll come in a folder called Realtors. Just for the sake of doing this, let me make another copy of it because I've already worked through it, so I'm going to work on this one. And inside the Realtors, you've got a variety of different pictures, text documents, and things that are going to go through this project. This is another real-world kind of scenario that you'll find yourself as a designer. You're going to work with someone who's going to come in and say, hey, I've typed up this information I've created, but can you just make it look good? I need to send out a brochure. I need to send out something to somebody else. And what they've done is, under the booklet document, they've gone into Microsoft Word and just typed up all the stuff that they want to put into a brochure. And in this case, it's just a realtor company that wants to show off what they do, how they, some of the projects that they do, and list it out. It's very common for them to use Microsoft Word because it's just freely available to everybody. And you'll notice when they typed it up, they have different styles for everything that they do. So they've got kind of a header style where it's more bold. They've got this paragraph is a little bit larger than this paragraph. They've set some indentations. Well, it looks like maybe they use the default indent. No, there it is. So they've got some indents that are set up. All of these different types of things. They're all styles within Microsoft Word. Well, what do you do when you take someone who's already got something formatted and you want to put it in InDesign and you want to reformat it that way as well? And sometimes you want to make sure that you keep everything within a specific style. And that's kind of what this project will step through when you create it to go through. Also, since it's a booklet, it's going to have multiple pages. So this is going to continue on with making a master page. How can you make a master page that's consistent with all of the other pages within it as well? So we'll jump into InDesign. Kind of been working through it. This is how far I got from it. But you can have several pages. Let's see. And I've flowed in the text. So they actually already created their header page. And we're going to go in and make a master page where you can put in all the information, and you'll flow and have each of the pages looking exactly the same. And you're only going to make one page. And so when you're done, you just copy that master page over and over again.
So we'll just be creating a template?
Yep, exactly. You're going to make it a template. Good way of thinking about it. Right now I'm working through the section where you can reformat each of the different styles that are on here. So that's why you can see some of them look normal and others don't look so normal.
Is that sidebar always going to be part of the template?
Which one?
The green section over here.
Oh, this one down here? Or this one over here?
I mean the dark green one.
Oh, the dark one? Yes, it is. We're going to change it up. But it'll be something that you create within the template. And then you'll change it up for that one. But yeah. Another thing we're also going to show you how to make is automatic page numbers for everything. I've got my special characters turned off. Let's see, hide hidden characters. This is just another great thing. So when you create or add multiple pages, it'll automatically add the page number to whichever one, there it is, whichever you're working on. Just a great little time saver to go through from there. So let's start off from the beginning. Close it out. We'll go to File and make a new document. For this one, since they want to print it off on a regular letter size sheet of paper and fold it in half, and so it's just going to be a letter booklet. When you create a text page, let's see, we're going to make the master's page. Instead of letter, we're going to choose, they have letter half already selected for you. So half of the letter size is 5.5 inches wide by 8.5 inches tall. Two of them together makes 8.5 by 11. Same thing, the orientation is going to be portrait. Let's see, also we want to make, by default, our columns to be 2 and the gutter to be 2/10 of an inch. And I believe we're going to have some specific margins on here. All of them are going to be 1/2 inch with a 1/8 of an inch bleed on the outside. Everything else looks good, we'll say okay to that. And so this is going to be our basic template size, 5.5 inches, 8.5 inches tall. Remember the outer edges is your bleed edge. It's going to be trimmed off because you're going to be printing all the way to the edge. And the inner edges are your margins that you have from there. Once you've got it created, they've already gone ahead and made the cover document. So you can open up cover in InDesign document. When I do it, it says there's going to be some links that are missing. All I had to do was hit update links. So don't click on the don't update. If you hit update links, it'll relink to all those pictures that are saved within the file by itself. So make sure you hit that. From here, it's going to ask you to open up your Pages dialog box. So I've got it right up here. You can see in here I've got page 1 and page 2. And we want them to be relatively the same for what we're going to create. From here, I'm going to take page 1 and turn it into a master document. In other words, I want the layout that's put on the cover to be consistent and to be reused for all the other pages. To do this, we're going to right-click, or excuse me, control-click on page 1. This will give us a pop-out menu. And from here, we can save this page as a master page by itself. So I'm going to click on it, save master page. From here, you can see it's been added to all the master pages that are up there. You'll do the same thing for page 2 also. So control-click on it, save it as a master page. So page 2 that's been saved is now saved up here as well. If you ever need to edit or to change up the name of them, so they're going to ask you to change the B master to, I think, front cover. You can right-click on it or control-click on it, and we want to, where is it? Options, master options for it. From these options page, this is where you can give it a new name. And I think this one we're going to call front cover. Hit OK. Got it renamed. Same way for the C. We're going to call that the back cover. Control click. And there it is. Options. Back cover. Say OK from there. Alright, from here I think everything else is good. I'm going to save this as Cover Masters as a completely different document. Do you remember the keyboard shortcut for Save As versus Save? Do you remember a keyboard shortcut for Save? There you go. Shift Command S is Save As, which will allow you to rename it. So for this one, I'm just going to call it _ Masters. Because I want to save a copy of this document, but I want to pull up these master pages. And you'll see why in just a second. Because on one document, I created the covers. Now I'm going to jump back into my new document that I created when we first opened it up. And I want to load up those master pages that I created from beforehand. So to load them up, at the top right-hand side, click that, go down, and load master pages. From there, you can choose, here's the cover masters that we created, and any master pages that was on this InDesign document, we'll hit open, are now loaded into this document that I have. So if you're collaborating with someone, or if you created something a long time ago, got another master page created, this is how you can easily import them into there without having to recreate them from there. All good? One thing that I had trouble with, and it was confusing at first, the book's going to ask you to open up your swatches palette and your paragraph styles palette. I'm going to go ahead and close them both out just to show you. The swatches palette's really easy. The swatches palette's the one that it's under color. There's your swatches. We've been using it a lot. When I saw a paragraph styles palette, there's a palette called paragraph, and this allows you to change up the dynamics of an entire body of text. The paragraph styles palette is a little bit different. Under this one, to find it, go to Window, Styles, there's Paragraph Styles. So there is two different ones. There's Paragraph and Paragraph Styles. This is the one that we want. Notice that Command F11 will open that one up for your keyboard shortcut. And this will come in handy a little bit later from there. Once it's open, let's go into the different master pages that we created and be able to apply them to the pages that we have. So under the Pages dialog box, if I want page 1 to be the front cover that we created, to apply it to page 1, it's simply a matter of clicking and dragging it onto page 1. And you've got everything that was part of page 1 is now just applied to that particular page. If you want to add more pages to it, so let's say I wanted to add the back cover underneath here, you can always click on the back cover, drag it down, and there it is as page 2 down there. Notice that it's still under facing pages. So if this was like a normal booklet, of course that would be the first one. Page 2 would be here. Page 3 would open up, and this would be the center line, the gutter, excuse me, alleyway of this particular document. If you wanted to add more pages to it, this is where your A master comes in. And they're going to ask you to add a page to the left side of page 2. Now when you pull these, make sure that you're picking up the right one. Since I want to add a page on this side, I want to make sure I choose the left side of the master page. So when I click and drag it onto here, you can see it kind of gives me a little line, and when I let go, it'll bump this one over and add the master page to that one as well. Pretty cool? Very simple, very, very easy thing to do. Let's see. So you've created a master page or different types of covers, those type of things from an existing page. Here's how you can edit them once you're in the documents you're working on. Let's see. Make sure.
So this page right here will be the white portion of the front cover?
Yep. Exactly. Yeah. We're actually going to go in later and change up the master page. But yeah, the front cover is its own master page, back cover its own. A master is just the default, what it comes with. Yeah, master page. Let's see, I want to make sure I'm not A cover, B cover, yeah. Place it in there, perfect. Doing better than I thought. So, if I wanted to edit a master page, first of all I'm going to double click on the A master page. And that's going to bring up, this isn't your normal layout. You'll only have these two different pages because we're working within the A master. I can click on the front cover or any other type of cover. It's not going to take me anywhere because I'm still only working within editing this master page. So any changes you make, double click on it and it'll bring it up. Let's see, the first thing you're going to do, let's see, we want to just click on the left hand side of the page, is to change the margins and guides of this particular page. So to do that, with it selected, we'll go to Layout, under the Margins and Guides. I'm gonna, let's see, link, yeah, keep them on link. I'm gonna change the top margin to 5 inches. We're actually gonna make that small little text box that's down there. Bottom margin, or outside margin, excuse me, to 2 inches. Come on. Watch with him since your computer's on. Let's see. Outside margin 2 inches. And we're going to change the number of columns to 1. So we're just editing up this particular one. You can see already it's getting much smaller. By the way, make sure your preview is turned on so you can see any of the changes that you're making. Without it turned on, everything you type in won't show up until you hit OK. Everything else looks good. We'll hit OK. So now the margins that I've created have been redefined within the master page. The second thing we need to do is, notice you still got your text box. This is the 2 columns that are up here. There's a tool, this is kind of a new tool, something that I'm not even used to using, but it's called the gap tool. It allows you to quickly adjust the white space that's in between different objects. Have you all used them before in any other things? Okay. Here's what the gap tool allows you to do. It's this tool right here. It's got the little arrows between 2 lines. This allows you to quickly and easily adjust the amount of distance between multiple objects. Rather than having to select a bunch of things, this will look at, well, what's the distance between them, and you can click and expand it from there. So you can see when I roll over different areas, it kind of highlights the amount of space in between the margins that I'm working with. And what we're going to do is, since this is a text box, I'm going to click here and drag down, and it's going to adjust the size of my text box. And we're going to line it up until it reaches this point right here. Same thing. That's all the gap tool allows you to do. If you had multiple objects, it would push those multiple objects around the same way as well. Come on in. Watch with Mario, since he can't reconnect to a computer. Let's see. So the gap tool, that's what it allows you to do. Click and drag. You can adjust all the objects inside of it as well. I'm following along, by the way. We're doing Project 4 in the book, and so I'm just kind of working through it with y'all. Once that's done, make sure we've got it going good. Everything looks good. The last thing we need to do is, since this is a text box, I'm going to choose my selection tool. We're going to select the text box, and we're going to change up its options since it has 2 columns inside of it. Now you know you can select a text box. You've got all your options up here. You can choose to change up the number of columns, the position. If you ever want to get all of the options for any objects that you create, hold down your Control key and click on the object. And it's usually, in this case, it's a text frame options. This will give you a dialog box that gives you more control over everything that's not even up here as well. In the book, it's going to ask you to change up a couple of things. So we're going to change the number of columns back to 1. The inset value of it is going to be, yeah, 1/8 of an inch on all sides. So checked off that. 0.125. Since that's linked up, they'll all be the same thing. And we're also going to change the vertical alignment, the justification to center. Everything else remain the same. I'll hit OK. So now that text box that I had is going to be this side. It's going to have a little bit of an inset, and everything will be vertically aligned from there as well. Make sure everything is OK. Panels. OK. So we're still working in just the master page, and we just did everything that's on the left-hand side. Let's also adjust everything on the right-hand side. Remember to select it, double-click on the master page right-hand side. It'll bump over there. Notice that it's highlighted, so any changes you make will only go to that particular one, this particular page. Same way as the left-hand side. We're going to open up our margins and reset it. So layout, margins and guides. Same thing. For this one, let's see, we're going to change the bottom margin to 3/4 of an inch. 3 1/4. 0.25. Since I have my preview checked off, that'll bring that up. Everything else should be okay. We'll hit OK. Same thing, I need to adjust the size of my text box. So I'm going to choose my gap tool. From here I can click and bring it up to there as well. Everything else is good. We'll move on from that one. Like I said, this particular one, probably you can knock it out today. Project 4, I'm going to have it due this time next week, so you'll have at least 1 week to finish it up. Alright, so next thing we need to do, we're going to start creating what the final product should look like. Start creating the little text frames that go inside of the different areas. I think we're going to make the dark green one first. Here we are. It's going to ask you to create a new text frame with the following dimensions. So, there we go. I'm just going to grab my text tool. You can click and drag anywhere, but if you want to give it a specific point and dimensions, be sure to select your selection tool next. From here, you can then type in the specific things. So 7.375, 5.65. We'll say OK. I know that's wrong. 2.35. There we go. So now I've got my box down here. It's going to ask me to apply. This particular one comes with a shade of green, so make sure you have your swatches open. We'll make it green from there. And we'll bring up and change out the inset for it as well. So remember to pull up the options for it, hold down Control, click on it. There's text frame options. And this one, all we're going to do is undo the inset. We'll have to unlink it to make sure everything else is the same. And only the top, bottom, and left is going to be 1/8 of an inch. Tab. Oops. Left side. The right side is going to be 3/8 of an inch, so 5/8, 0.625. Everything else is all good. We'll say OK to there. So now I've formatted the text frame that'll be for that one as well. All right. Next thing in the book it's going to ask you to do is to link up. Since I've got a text frame here, here, and here, by default, whenever you make a master page at the top, it's going to link whatever text frame you had here into the text that's here. So when you put text copy and paste something from one text box, it's going to flow into here. And you can see that by going to View and Extras, and let's see, Show Text Threads. Ah, maybe I should do the wrong one. View. What am I missing here? I want to be able to see. It should be Show Text Threads. Oh, I know what I did. View, Extras, Show Text Threads. There we go. See how it's linked from this text thread up to here? So any text that's put in here will flow over in here. We'll need to do the same thing for this one. So I'm going to click on the downside here, and then click into my green box. So now any text that's there will also flow into that one as well. Does that make sense? Hope I didn't confuse you all on that. Last thing we'll need to do is to create the green rectangle that's behind here. And that'll finish up setting up the master page, and we can actually start putting text into and working with it. So I've got my rectangle frame. All I'm going to do is click and drag over the entire side there. It's going to be that dark green, but they're asking you to drop the tint of it down to 80%. Is it 80% or 20%? Oh, it is 20%. That's what it was. Much better. We also want to make sure it's behind this text box. I'm going to go to Object, Arrange, send it all the way to the back. In order to make this text box show up, I'm going to highlight it. Right now its fill color is none, so it's completely transparent. What we need it to have is paper for its transparency. Since you have paper selected, it doesn't need to be 100% paper. In other words, I don't want it to be completely white. I want it to be 80% white, or I believe 85% is what the book recommends. You can't do a tint of paper. It's always going to be 100%, but you can change the opacity of it. The opacity is found underneath at the very top of your control panel. Excuse me, what is that? This one right here is your opacity. From here you can type in 85% and drop it down. So now it gives you that slightly lighter shade of white from there. All right. I believe everything else is good. Last thing. One more thing we've got to add to the master page. Since we're working in a booklet that they're creating, each of the booklet pages is going to have a page. Every other page is going to be numbered off. And so, do y'all remember what it's called when you have information at the bottom of a page? Yeah, the footer. So every other page, every odd page should have a footer. It's going to say Home Enhancement Guide, and it's going to automatically generate the page number that you're working on. So 7, 9, 11, 13, however many pages that should be there. Here's how you can automatically put page numbers onto a page. First of all, I'm going to zoom in so we can see it. It's going to ask you to make a text box. And it even gives a specific size of it, so let's make sure I do it right. So 6 inches wide, or that's, excuse me, 4.5 inches wide by 1/4 of an inch tall. So, got my text box set up. We'll type in the word Home Enhancement. And we're going to make it 12-point ATC Laurel. Perfect. So that's it formatted. We also want it to be on the right side, so right alignment. Here's where it gets really fun. I put my cursor at the very end of this one, so you can see it properly. Oh, jumped over. There we go. Cursor right at the end of guide. I'm going to hit the space bar just once. It doesn't look like it did anything, but it did add a space point right there at the very, very end. Since it's right aligned, it just doesn't worry about that. What I want to do is to put a special character that it's called a marker that puts the current page that we're on. So to put the special character in there, go to Type, Insert Special Character. Here's our markers, and here's the current page. So no matter what page that we use this master template on, it'll always put the current page that's on there. Also, you can hold down the Option, Shift, Command, N is the keyboard shortcut for that. Now notice that it put an A down there for the page number. Why do you think it put A as the page number?
So because it's still on the master page.
Bingo. Keep in mind, we're still editing the master page. We're not on any of these numbered pages, since the master page is what's going to be reused. So the master page, for now, is just going to be set to A. Let's see. Next thing we want to do is to make sure there's enough space on there. Instead of doing just a regular space, the book's going to ask you to put in what's called an M space. Let me turn on my special characters and show you. So type, show my hidden characters. So now you can see all the little points. You can see there's a small little point right there. That's the space. I'm going to highlight it. An M space. If you, do y'all know what an M dash is? Whenever you type it? You've probably seen it just as something like that. So when you type something, you hold...
We call it underscore.
Yeah, underscore. Same thing. That distance is called of the underscore is called the M. It's in typography when literally when you form the size of your characters, the space of an M, everything is measured by the distance and the size of that M. So the M space, that's what the underscore is. It's a special character. It doesn't print. It just gives that. So let me show you how to do it. Go to File. Excuse me. Go to Type. Insert white space. There's the M space. And it's just a regular dash. Same distance as, well, a little bit smaller than that. I'm going to do two of them. So I'm going to hit Copy. Paste it in there. So 2 M spaces. Pick N space, maybe the smaller one. White space. There's also an N space. Yeah, a little bit smaller. M space, will give you that one as well. Alright. Once you've got it set up, I think everything else should be completely good. Fantastic. Let's actually rock out and put some text within this one. So all I've done is created a master page. So when I double click on any of these regular pages, you can see I've got my text box there. This was the back cover. Everything else is good. Now we're going to actually flow in the text that they created. Now, show in Mario, whenever you work with a lot of clients, a lot of times they go ahead and they type up exactly what they want created. And for this particular project, this is a realtor who wants some brochures that are made. These are going to be multiple page brochures. They've already typed out and formatted, so they've got like the titles here. They've got a big paragraph and they've got a smaller paragraph. They even have some tabs that are already created, and all this was done in Microsoft Word. So when you take what they've designed and you want to put it into InDesign, you don't always want to get rid of their formatting. You just want it to look like your formatting. You want it to look better. And so that's what you're going to be working with when you download the zip. This is their booklet document that they created. So for our book, or excuse me, for our document, we're actually going to have to set up the preferences to make sure that when we import their text, it comes in nicely and doesn't conflict with anything. To do that, go to InDesign. It's going to ask you to go to the preferences, and under Type, here it is. We want to make sure that Smart Text Flow is turned on, so when we flow it in, everything else is good. If there's if you're putting in a lot of more text that can fit on one page, so in other words, it's going to add pages to the end of the story. So whenever you add your text to it, it's going to automatically add more pages for you and keep flowing your text. Let's see, we also want to delete any empty pages. And what else did they say? I think that was it for that one, so we'll hit OK. Alright, so I'm on page 2. This is where I want my text to start flowing. And then automatically when I do it, you can see the pages, it'll start adding more to it. So I've got that one. We'll go to File and Place. And it's not under Realtors 2 is what I want. Here's the booklet document that I showed you earlier. So this is what they typed up that we're going to place into our document. Booklet. Show your import options. It's checked off. Said OK. Under this one, this kind of gives you control of how it works out. Since they've created their own styles, we want to preserve the styles and the formatting that they had. So make sure that that one's checked off. And yeah, everything else is good. Paragraph styles conflict, make sure they're also automatically renamed. I'll get into that in just a second. We'll say OK. When you hit that, it's going to ask you, hey, there's some missing fonts. Sometimes when they add bold or if they use a font that you don't have, this is what comes up. For this particular project, we're not going to worry with it. Just hit OK. It's going to ask you where do you want to insert it. We're going to click on this text document. Watch the number of pages pop up when I click on it. And there you go. So what it did was it took the text that was in that document, and when I placed it in here, it flowed it, and here's that master page that we created. It's got the text document up here, it's got text down here, and everything that it has automatically generates more and more pages to be able to place in there. Pretty cool? So this is just kind of a quick way of, rather than having to copy, paste, and reformat everything, you can just flow it in and the computer does all the work for you. Now if you do flow in text, remember if it's highlighted like this, that means there's some sort of font problem or there's some sort of style problem that we're going to have to fix. And this is as far as I got, but I'll show you how to fix up the styles. To do this, make sure your paragraph styles dialog box is opened up. Now I'll show in Mario, there's two different style boxes that kind of got me confused. There's the paragraph styles box, there's also the paragraph format box. These are two different ones. To find the paragraph styles, you can go under Window, choose, there it is, Styles, and there's Paragraph Styles. It's completely different from the paragraph, which is actually under your text and tables, under there. Okay, but here's how to edit the different styles. Like I said, in Microsoft Word, she's got this as a particular style. You can see it's got its own typeface, its own size. This paragraph is its own style. Let's see, it should be smaller. There we go, it's 12 point. And this is its own style as well. This one's different font, different size as well. So that what we need to do is erase the styles that she's gotten. And you can see there's the section header, there's the introductory text, and some other different styles that have been created. We either need to erase them or we need to edit them. Let's see, so make sure I follow along the book to have everything going well. In the paragraph styles, first one we're going to delete and get rid of is the section header. So under section head, you can control click on it. And for this one, we're going to delete the style. Whenever you delete a style, it has to be replaced by something else. So what this dialog box is asking you is, okay, if we're going to get rid of the section head style, we need to replace it with, in our case, we're going to replace it with the heading style. We'll say OK. So now you can see it starting to resolve. Everything that had a section header has now been restyled and reformatted to match that particular effect. Let's do the same thing for this section introductory style. So I'm going to control click on section intro. I want to delete the style. And for this particular one, we want to change it to intro text. We'll say OK. And so now it's been changed up as well. This is true for all the other different paragraphs that fall under that particular style. You can see some of them don't have it, and they're all getting off. Once you get done, everything should flow really nicely. Let's put that back in there. Another thing you can do, rather than deleting and replacing it, is to actually make an edit to the style. Oh, by the way, one more way you can delete it. Instead of clicking on it and hitting delete style, you can just click it and drag it down to the trash can. It's also going to ask you to do that one. I think for this one, we're going to choose no paragraph style. And it's just going to get rid of that one as well. So you can control click on it, or you can click and drag it to the trash can. It does the same thing. To edit a style that's been created, in this case, I'm going to put my cursor on this one. Choose my text cursor. You can see with this highlighted, it's choosing the category intro. So this one is one I want to be able to edit. So I'm going to hold down control, click on it, edit control intro. This is going to give me all of my options that I can go through and change up for the style. Not all of them need to be changed. For this one, all we need to do is to change up the font that we're using, and also the character spacing before and after it. So under basic character fonts, right now it's using ATEC Collada. We're going to change that one to High Normal. ATC High Normal. All looks good. And make the font size a little bit smaller, 9.5. And you can see whenever I make these changes, it also adjusts it on the file that I'm working on as well. Last thing is the indents and spaces. So over here, indents and spacing. Space before is going to be changed to 0.1, and the space after, get rid of it to 0. So what I'm doing is, when she worked in Microsoft Word, she set up her own spacing and her own character styles. I'm just going back in and reformatting them to fit my particular style by itself. Does that make sense? So that's pretty much what we're getting through to do that. Everything else is just kind of more of the same as far as formatting and inserting the special characters, so I won't let y'all sit and watch me do this moving through there. But all of this is found on the Project 4 within your book as you can work on. Any questions before I move on? This project's going to be due next Tuesday, so there's plenty of time to work on it. On next Tuesday, we'll also start on a new project from there and move on from that. Alrighty, I'll let y'all take control.